Hey, this is Derica Fomasili, and welcome to the Happiness Recipe Summit, where top experts reveal their secret ingredients with you so you can finally create your own recipe for happiness. Today's topic is something that's very dear to my heart. It is how to overcome fears and phobias. So, we all know that I think we can all relate that a great deal of our happiness is taken away because of programs in our mind, certain fears that stop us, stop us from doing the things we want to do. You know, you have goals, maybe you want to say something or do something, but then those fears are still there and they're very debilitating. They hinder us, and I think that steals a lot of our happiness. So I'm so excited to announce our expert guest today, Adelita Montero. She is a conscious entrepreneur, an international coach and speaker, and a multi-time Jiu Jitsu world champion. Want to talk about overcoming fears, right? Woo! As a high performing athlete, Adelita provides keynotes and workshops to companies and associations on how to develop a warrior champion mindset to achieve excellence, freedom, and success in life. Welcome, Adelita.
Thank you, Derica, so much for having me here today. I'm really excited to be here and to share a little bit about fear, what fear is, and a little bit about my story. And I've been doing a lot of work with people with fears and anxieties over the years, so I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, we'll jump right into it, Adelita. Can you share a little bit about your story and how you became this warrior, champion, NLP mindset coach?
It's funny that you ask because it wasn't always like this. Being a four-time jiu-jitsu world champion, people tend to assume that, I am the symbol of perseverance and resilience and strength. But the truth of the matter is where I came from, where I started, it was from a family where, for instance, like in my family, we didn't have like looking at spiritually and on different aspects. Spiritually, I grew up in my family, nobody really liked any organized religion, so we didn't go anywhere. So there was this intellectual cynicism in which like, this is like control the masses, this and that.
Yeah.
So we had nothing right there. And then emotionally, we didn't know how to handle emotions or communicate in a healthy way or how to resolve conflicts, right? We didn't really know how in our family. That's where I came from. And looking at it like intellectually, none of my parents really graduated college, had a college education. I was the first one to get a college education in my family. And also, like, for example, my dad never made to middle school. He only had fourth grade. So, and then, yeah, just, and athletically, like physically speaking, which is, a lot what the warrior champion is. That's how I became who I became through physical activity in sports. We didn't practice in sports. We didn't belong to any gyms. We didn't play sports as a family or, practice any organized sports, anything like that at all. So, in fact, both of my mom and dad, they smoked one pack of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Right. So I'm saying this to show that, as you can see, I didn't come from a family that, oh, you inherited, your Spartan genes. No, I had,
Nope.
I had to create this from scratch for myself. Okay. So this is what I'm here to do, is to teach people that no matter who you are, no matter where you came from, you can overcome. You can overcome. Overcoming is the name of the game. right?
Yes.
You have to overcome where you came from, your difficulties, your traumas, and all of those things. You transform your pain into power, right? So I grew up with a lot of pain, emotional pain, and I wanted to perform, right? That's the competition, the training. I used to skateboard of all things. I came to the US as a competitive skateboarder. I used to compete girls skateboarding, travel all over Brazil, and then I came to California. That was my dream, go to California, man. That was 19 years ago, and I was in Encinita skateboarding at the YMCA. It was such a dream for me to come to the US and skateboard as an athlete and all this. So I
Mm.
had to overcome a lot because, coming to another country and all this that I've done is such a tremendous like leap of faith. My mom's like, this is the first time I said, this is really difficult. So there's that victim mindset, that negative mindset, that not only internal I had to battle, but external, right? So all these things only help me like feel more inclined to really like, no, I can do this. I'm gonna show that I can do this. So I came to California, right? So I'm still achieving, competing, and trying to win. I but still this pain persisted. I grew up very lost, feeling very angry, and feeling kind of without something was missing, and I couldn't find what it was. So I kept achieving and winning things, and I got a degree, I got a husband, I got kids, and and you just keep filling up this crazy black hole of you put things in there, achievements, degrees. I was top 1% of my class is international business. Then I came, to become a world champion in Jiu Jitsu, competed in skateboarding, came to another, continent and all this. I was married to a successful businessman, and I had the Orange County housewife's life and trying to mold and fit into that, but still the pain persisted.
Mm.
So my journey was to find out, to eventually, when I saw my marriage crumbling, I felt this, in spite of all that, there was still this pain, there was still something off. Find out, stop, find out what it is, go deep, you know. So I did couples therapy. I started learning NLP. I went on something is called the Hoffman process in Northern California,
Mhm.
where we go deep, and that's when I start falling in love with NLP, right? So the jiu-jitsu, the NLP,
Mm.
and like facing those fears is what really helped me become who I become, and all the difficulties that I had to face
Yeah.
helped me be who I am today. And I think anyone can do it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that very inspiring story. As you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, for all those who see Adelita right now, when you cross that fear, just think of her face. Like, think of her. If she can do it, I can do it, right? Just kind of think of that and everything that you've overcome with the odds against you internally, externally, and you still prevailed. You still made it, right? And we're going to talk more about, yeah, that's beautiful. Now, how do I do it? Right? Now let's help others do that. And this is where it starts right here, right? In their story, in their journey, where they're at. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story, Aretha. So if they've never heard of NLP before, maybe they feel it. They know that there's something deeper. They know they're trying everything, but there's something they keep running against like the wall with, and it's their mindset. But what is NLP? What is that? Can you explain in simple terms for all those who've never heard of it, what it actually is?
Well, sure, I can explain. Neuro-linguistic programming, right? Neuro comes from your mind, your nervous system. Linguistic has to do with language, the language that we speak. As we speak, so we create, right?
Yeah.
And then programming has to do with the power that your mind has over your behaviors, over your beliefs, the filters, over what happens in your life, what you see, what you perceive, right? So there are filters, there's things called modalities, which is like visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And then there is submodalities, which are, breaking down those visual things. And in NLP, we play with submodalities. So I thought of this thing today. What do you think of this? Change your submodality, change your life.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. That's true. Get down to where it's at, right?
Right. So this is very geek talking for coach. People understand what we're talking about, therapists. But what it really is, neurolinguistic programming is nothing but a little bit of psychology, positive psychology, talk therapy, a hypnosis, right? And so basically, these are different tools that were modeled after the greatest therapists that there were in the 70s and in Northern California. So Richard Bandler, John Grinder, and some of those guys.
Mm.
So, but what I found out that clients, right? Coaches love this stuff and we geek out on this, but clients don't really care so much if it's NLP, if it's EFT, if it's ABC.
Yes.
What they know is they have a problem. Like I had a problem. I felt alone. I felt angry. I felt stuck. And I didn't know where to look. I didn't know that there were coaches, that there was people that could help me. I felt like I had to figure it out all by myself. I felt more, you get kind of isolated in your head and you feel so stuck. I feel like I couldn't talk. Nobody could understand, relate to what I was going through. So many people can relate. So many women are like sometimes stuck in these relationships where they can't grow. Anybody like that?
No,
Fear
I'm just kidding. I
or
understand
or
them.
or maybe in an area of your life that you feel
Right.
like you're stuck, you can't grow. So what do? I didn't know. You get a coach, you get a therapist, you get help, you go to church groups, and get your way out of that. You get
Yeah.
help. Okay, so there's help. You don't have to be alone like I was. You don't have to stay stuck in suffering, because there's so many techniques. There's a change happens like this is like magic. But you have to know what you're feeling. You have to admit, you have to ask for help, you have to be vulnerable, you have to be in a state of surrender,
Mm.
right? And say, hey, you know what, I need help, God help me. And then the help will come, basically.
Absolutely. Yes. So for those I'm right there with you. And I think as a listener right now, we have all probably experienced those instant miracle moments, right? Where we were one way a second ago and we just have this instant awakening with, it could be something we've seen or with a friend or with a coach or whatever it is. And we don't know exactly what just happened. Right? We don't know what technique was used or what trigger or inspiration came in, but it was instant. It was an instant shift of that mindset. And then that fear, right, just almost vanishes just like that. I love that. Okay, so what do you think are the biggest fears that most people suffer from?
Yes, I think it's important to understand fear, right? Understand fear. So I want to answer two things:
Okay.
fear, and then what are the biggest fears, which they kind of go together. So fear can be positive, can be something good, keeps us alive, right? So that's, fear get a bad rap here, but a moderate amount of fear, it's good. Okay. Now, fear becomes a problem when it's disproportionate to what's going on in your life, right? And fear usually has something to do with the past, affecting your present moment, projecting to the future. So it's not until you do this work of self-development that you start to understand, oh, I have fear. Then you have to name it so you can tame it. Okay, I didn't create this, somebody else did. You know, Tony Robbins says, feel it so you can heal it. Feel it so you can heal it. So this is one of the things that I learned in NLP, the Hoffman process in Northern California, which is transformative, week-long workshop where you work with all different areas of your life, improving and really getting rid of negative programming from childhood, from our parents, learning to forgive them and then, you know, move on, right? Compassion. So the forgiveness work, sometimes there's so many layers, you know, you have fear, but it's like the fear, maybe it's, you know, so each case is a different case. We're so complex. You know, there are fears that are real fears. What if, you know, you have like, you know, somebody is a perpetrator, it's the next door neighbor. Hey, you're afraid, but that's a different fear, right? It's a real fear.
Yeah.
Maybe you know, what can you do about it? You can't be trapped in fear and do nothing. There's something, right?
Yes.
So all those things, name it, feel it. So in the process in NLP, you learn to process that and feel it. In therapy, you feel it, you can heal, you have to admit, but you have to have enough self-awareness and self-knowledge, right? So you have to do some personal development work, spiritual work, emotional work, mindset work, reframe your thoughts, your beliefs, the pictures and the images inside your mind, creating this thing, sometimes disproportionate is probably what we're talking about the most, not real life threats, right? Those things are important. Now things that are not working, that, you know, there's I think the main fear, like you asked, is that we are disconnected from God. It really comes down to that. That's the biggest fear. Okay, so we lost track of that. We are here in this, you know, material world, physical world, but we have a spiritual side. Nobody has a clue what that is, because church taught us something. They did a really terrible job into getting people kind of disappointed, to say the least, to like some of the wrongdoings that the church has done. Okay, so the church has done, there's good people, there's good things that happen within the church, just like any organization, but there's some horrible atrocities that happen. There's people traumatized, multi-generations, sometimes deep in their DNA. They're like, you know what? The church, you know, they have indigenous native in them, like I do from Brazil, shamanic people. It's like, oh my God, it's like genocide, right? So it has that connotation. And somehow we kind of tie that to God. It's not God's fault that religion and people came here and created a business out of this, or created, like, you know, there's a lot of child molestation that goes on, right? Child trafficking is rampant in this world right now, okay? So child lives matters, you know?
Yeah.
So keep our children safe. I don't even know the hashtag is right now, but the children, right? So because all these fears and those things develop in childhood, right? So when we disconnect from God, when we have no, because there's religion and there's spirituality, right? So religion sometimes took people away from the church, away from trying to connect with God because of this bias, right? And there's also the spiritual path, has nothing to do with religion, right? You bypass the middleman and you go straight, is an experiential thing. So you find God through yourself, within yourself, maybe in acts of love and kindness, right? So fear it's part of the lower realm of negative emotions, right? In a Dr.
Mhm.
Hawkins, David Hawkins emotional scale. There's also Abraham Hicks has another emotional scale. So levels of consciousness. It comes down to elevate your level of consciousness, develop yourself personally, spiritually, develop a relationship with God. Okay, we can get intellectual and talk academic, fear, this and that, psychology, and then you're gonna be stuck in a loop, blaming your parents, blaming the church, blaming this, and you're stuck forever in a victim mindset. So
Right.
getting out of that and really putting the responsibility on you to develop your connection with spirituality, whatever religion you are, it's your obligation, it's your job, it's your duty to ask the big questions. Who am I? What am I here to do? What can I contribute, instead of like, what can I get out of life? And then you find meaning, you find purpose, and then those fears, those things start to diminish, and you surrender, develop a relationship with God, and then that will carry you through. That's what carried me through the fear, making the leaps. You have to make leaps of faith, right? So the biggest fear is the fear of separation from God. And then there's like fear of being alone, right? There's fear of success. There's fear of, there's so many fears of failure. Here's my fear of missing out.
Yep.
There's so many different fears. So it depends. I had a fear of public speaking, right?
Mm.
So these are little different facets of fear, but they all stem from like, at the end of the day, we want to be loved. We want to feel connected with God, with divinity, whatever that is for you, and with everybody else. So develop your connection, develop yourself, and all of those things will subside.
Well, well said. Well said. I think as I'm nodding, the audience was too. I definitely think that a lot of it, first not facing that fear, being able to, we kind of suppress it. And I feel that monster grows bigger and bigger, right? As long as we keep it in here and we kind of just suppress it, it grows. But like you said, just face it or feel it and you'll heal it. Like Tony Robbins as well. That's such a powerful technique. Then you'll see sometimes those fears are just like here, there's like tiny little guys. And, you can now mold it and do something about it or go to a practitioner that can. But that's beautiful. So face it, really analyze that thing. And then the biggest fear that you said was it's just really not knowing who we are, what are we doing,
Mm.
and when we're disconnected that way, everything is scary. What are we doing? Right? Why are we here? Well, should I do this? Should I do that? And that is overwhelming. That's a big thing. So as you're saying, just connect to your center, connect to your divine, whatever that looks like for you. And that fear will start to just go away, naturally start to go away so you can actually live, right? Live more instead of fearing it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and work and find a coach. I
Yeah.
think you you have to do both things. Chop wood and carry water. You have to do everything you can. You can't just be at home praying and then don't take any action, right?
Yeah.
So I think you have to find yourself a coach, and you have to find yourself your community, you have to find your sacred service, and you're going to have to journal, you're going to have to meditate, you're going to have to eat better. And I think a lot of those things have to do with your morning routine. Okay. And fear and anxiety, what happens is like you feel like out of control, right? So there are little things that you can do. It comes down to the little things, to the daily habits, right?
Right.
So I have a morning routine that helps me stay grounded, tame my anxiety of like everything I want to do in the world. I want to do everything. There's not enough time in the world. How do I manage my time, my priorities, what really matters? Am I moving towards my goals? Having goals, not knowing what you want, believing you can have it. and all those things. And I always have a coach, and I'm always learning. So I have a checklist that people can get it for free as well, and start to
Nice.
understand.
Thank you so much. We're going to dive into that too. So you're really, we all have blind spots, right? It's like we can be self-aware so much, but having that person who's trained or just has your best interests and all of that, that's observing you and can offer you this guidance and these tools and tips is necessary, right? I think it's absolutely necessary in our growth and our overcoming these debilitating fears and phobias. We can't do it alone, and where it's extremely hard to do it alone, right?
Right.
Do you have a miracle story? And I know you do, a successful story that you can share with us about someone you've helped.
Wow, the first story, I think the most significant is like to have being able to have help to myself, right? That was the first one and foremost, because having this experience, having this in my neurology, now I'm able to help other people. So most recently, I had a client that, her boyfriend broke up with her. If you could see, she looked like an Asian goddess, but she couldn't see herself like that, right? She's independent, she's beautiful. Those like Asian women, like they could be like 50, I think she was, but she looked like 30.
Yeah.
She was flawless, so beautiful, and yet very frail inside, because her whole well-being and happiness depended on this other guy's attention and love for her. So many times we project that are like the love that we want. We don't have this connection of self-love, like for women. um, and for men, sometimes it's like, oh, it's about acquiring things and having things and chasing the money, and that's my self-worth. For women, it's like how beautiful I am, whether or not I'm in a relationship, that's my self-worth. So
Mm.
breaking those patterns, acknowledging it, right? You know what? I think that's what's going on. So we can't do that by ourselves. Like we can't have these insights. I mean, it's really difficult unless you've done some work on your own. Then you have somebody work with you and see what your negative beliefs are and how those things are showing up. But I was able to like easily, she was terrified, like she couldn't sleep, just over like a relationship. It sounds pretty silly if you're not in that position, if you haven't had or experienced like that. But once you do, you understand that, you know what, it really hurts. Sometimes you don't want to be alone. So developing, helping her develop a self-love, and doing a little journey and having her imagine herself, reframing those things inside her mind, and imagining somebody better, somebody, um, maybe she's breaking out and growing in a way that that person's no longer good for her. And then when you start digging, that person that she was putting on a pedestal had all these problems. He was in medication and wasn't necessarily like emotionally available, and that's probably why he went away. Not because we take it personal. It's
Yeah.
like, don't take it personal. And I took a picture of her. I told her to go to the mirror and look in the mirror and say, I love you. That can be transformative. Some people can't do it, they shake. So these are the things you need people to help you with. Find what it is that you need help with and really work those things layer by layer, little at a time. So I was able to help her, find some self-love, get out of that negative emotion, and imagine in her mind something better, something more fulfilling, something better for her.
So was her fear, was she afraid of being alone?
Afraid of being alone, afraid of, not being lovable at the end of the day,
Mm.
right? Feeling unlovable, right? Because he left me. It must be my fault. Like I must have some kind of problem. We internalize, right?
Yeah.
There's a book, The Four Agreements, says don't take anything personally. Whew, that's so freeing. So sometimes like, hey, go, have you read this book? No. "Oh, okay, go read this book, you know? So you're reprogramming your mind throughout the day with other things. What kind of music are you listening to, right? If you listen, there's music, it's all about breakups. It's like, dude, you can't do that. It's poison right now, right? And things like that. So we help you get out of those stuck states by rearranging your focus and your goals and recreating your reality in a different way.
That's amazing that you got her to love. I mean, she was about 50 years old, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So after this heartbreak, midlife, she didn't love herself. She was afraid that she wasn't lovable, and you got her through these simple coaching and being there with her and these techniques to actually let go of all of that fear, all of those patterns, and actually love herself again.
Love herself, and also to discharge the negative emotion, that the heavy charge at first, and so that we could start peeling other layers. So it's a journey, right? It doesn't take one session, right?
Mm-mm.
It takes a lifetime. It takes a lifetime of work, a little bit with the coach here and there, and then a lot on your own, forever.
Yeah,
I'm still doing my work, you know.
yeah,
It never gets done. You can never get it wrong, but you got to be on it, you know.
yeah. My something my mentors always say is that it takes 5 minutes to learn, a lifetime to master.
Mm.
Right? We're always mastering these things, and it gets easier. There's one last question that just came to mind that I'm just channeling, needs to come out here is fear. Fear, I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression that it's going to go away, that that'll just be gone. But like as Adelita said earlier on in this interview, is that it's necessary. A little bit of fear is necessary, right? But how do we, if you can touch on this a little bit for me, and I know I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. If you could touch on how do we use our fear to our advantage?
Fear to our advantage. Well, it depends how you look at it, right? For example, for me, I use the fear to grow.
Mm.
So in Jiu Jitsu, it's really scary to step on the mat and to face the opponent, and anything could happen. So every time you face your fear, you grow a little bit, right? So every time, fear, it's a part of your ego. Okay, there's ego and there's the essence. So knowing yourself, right? Self-knowledge, knowing your parts, the different components, aspects of the psyche, right? This is one of the things you need to understand. The ego is part of you, but it's not you. The fear stems from the ego. The more you let go and you face your ego, you free up some more essence of who you truly are, and you're stepping more into who you truly are, and stepping more into your power. And then that creates an attractor field from Dr. Hawkins, Power versus Force, in which you can recreate your life. You know it, right? Every time you advance a little fear, you conquer a little fear, that gives you a point of reference to grow from there and to be more powerful. It's like, I can do it. I can do this, right? So there are meditations, there is a lot of inner work that needs to be done. So you let go of the ego, thought patterns, and allow your essence to shine. And
Mm.
then you learn you are your essence, right? And there's no fear, there's no pain in your essence, there's no ego, there's only love, joy, and above. So that's where we belong.
That was perfect. That's exactly where I wanted to go. It's just the more that you face it. So here's my fear, and I face it. I maybe shrinked it down a bit. I got out of my head, And then once I did that, I have a new point of reference. Right? I have this new level about myself. And as long as we keep doing that, the stronger we become, the less and less fearful we are, right? The less we're held back.
Yes, use your fear as fuel. Fear as fuel. It just came to me. Fear as fuel.
You're on fire. Your creative is just flowing.
It's not me. I can't take credit for this. It's like it's me and you and, whatever needs to come through. I just
Absolutely.
like to get my ego out of the way so that I can actually receive. So I'm doing my work, you're doing your work, and the people that are listening are doing their part. So I really would love to encourage people to, interact with us with questions and things like that may come up, right? Their specific things that going on in their lives that we can help them get unstuck easily.
Yes, that is what we are here for. If we were to walk through very just quickly, I don't know how we are on time right now, but say if we're good on time, uh, I came to you and I have this fear of snakes. And I really do. But I was thinking of is wrapping in how NLP works. We've talked about the coaching, we've talked about the mind and how this is on the educational side. But if I were sitting right here in front of you and I said, Adelita, can you please help me overcome my fear of snakes? What is kind of like a snapshot of what that session would look like?
Well, first we're going to talk a little bit about like where that started, if you have any recollection, or is it just a phobia without any actual experience of like facing a snake right? Maybe you were a kid and then you went on a trip and then there's a snake and you're terrified and your parents were laughing, and maybe that's a real event that happened, and that's a legitimate fear. And where I studied the HMI, the College of was it Hypnosis Motivational Institute in Tarzana, we learned that phobias is more just this technical stuff. Phobias, things that are like I can't remember why I have a fear of spiders. I don't know, nothing ever happened, but I'm frightened. I freak out if I see a snake. Okay, so then that's more like a phobia. So which one is it?
Phobia.
Phobia.
It's a
So you
phobia.
don't know, you never, snakes never bit you or anything like that. Okay.
No.
And then since when you've been afraid of when you were like in high school or after, or since you were a little girl?
As long as I can remember.
Okay, so
A
for a
little
long,
girl.
long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we explore like, okay, let's do what, inner journey, NLP. We can do submodalities, change your submodalities, change your life. So I would like have you close your eyes, imagine like a snake that
Yeah.
you don't like.
Okay.
And then maybe change that image and then make it black and white, or make it really, really big, but make it big like as you can possibly imagine. And then make it black and white. And then maybe shrink it down, right? If you can make it big, you can make it small. This only makes sense, right? So then make it tiny, make it small as you can. Can you make it so tiny that's like microscopic?
Mm-hmm.
Make this microscopic, but maybe the snake, it's black and white, it's microscopic, and this and that. So maybe we could maybe send some gratitude for the snake. Maybe you could send some gratitude for the snake. The snake has some job. I don't know what the job, maybe it's not to be in your face, but it has a place in the animal kingdoms. Like, gratitude for the snake and what it represents, what it does. If it's in here, it's for a reason. It's not to frighten people, that's for sure. So send some gratitude for the snake to show you, how maybe the snake is empowering you, right? To look at this fear, to make you grow. The snake is your stepstone into a stronger, more powerful place in your life. That's what the snake represents. You know, Carl Jung, there's like unconscious things, there's collective unconscious things. Where are these things stemming from? You know, snakes can be good,
Wow.
right?
That was
That's,
so beautiful.
yeah.
And I
There's
don't even know if you're done yet, but I feel like,
yeah, there's more. There's always more, but
wow.
it doesn't have to be very elaborate. It could be that. It's just like a
Yeah.
little bit of rewind. You're gonna integrate that little bit, and
Yeah.
then it's like, hey, you know what? The symbolism of the snake. Now the snake could be a symbol of my power.
Yeah.
I actually have like a snake earring right here, isn't it?
Oh, no way.
Right here.
Wow.
In Egypt,
Synchronicity. Synchronicity, you guys.
I had a snake earring. I took it off. I thought people would be scared. I was wearing it, I swear.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Goosebumps.
me too, me too, me too. Snakes are really powerful, right?
Yeah.
In Western culture, maybe not so much, but in Eastern culture, a powerful animal. So
Mm-hmm.
depending where you are in the world, so
Yeah.
like looking at a snake, that it could be your power animal now.
You know, it's not crazy that you say this because that's what I seen as I was walking through and I seen the snake that I'm always afraid of, this particular snake, and I made it the black and white. I grew it and I kind of just like started to mold this thing and shrunk it down so tiny and I felt my power. I felt so much bigger, more powerful. And then when we sent it love for its place on the planet, and the
Mhm.
snake just turned into like hearts. It just turned into this pretty beautiful colors and hearts. And my heart, my chest got warm and I just felt healed. Like, and that instant, as we were talking about earlier, instantly, and I'll have to go try it out today, but I I felt that instant miracle just like that. Thank
Exactly.
you so much for walking me through that. And I hope any listener here, if you had that same phobia, which a lot of us do from our Western programming, movies and such, replay this and walk through her words in that powerful moment. And you'll feel that shift. That was so powerful. Incredible.
And what that means um, is that you're not gonna go now, walk into a pitted snake or just go put your hand in, where the snakes are poisonous. Doesn't mean that. It means that the heavy negative charge of just the thought of a snake or just this picture of a snake, it's gonna subside. It's gonna decrease, and there's like a way to reframe the snake. It was making you powerless,
Right.
and then you can change it. Why not make you powerful,
Mhm.
right? The snake is not an evil thing. Sometimes we have a connotation. Oh, maybe it's an evil thing. If it was evil, it wouldn't be here on the planet. It's here for some purpose. And what
Mhm.
is the symbolism behind the snake? How can I use the snake to become my power now? And that's with everything in life. How can I turn my weakness into my power?
Yes. We just hit it on the nail. This was a fantastic interview. I'm loving everything about this. This was so full circle in this moment. That was perfect. That was perfect. I don't even know where we're going now. Let me see. Could you share just one last powerful word? You've shared so many, but one last powerful word, and then I really want to get into your free gift.
Yes. So, what my coach Les Brown says is that he's probably getting it from Zig Ziglar, which he often does, and then we just keep, passing on, speaker to speaker,
Yes.
generation to generation. Right? But the message is just saying, fear. You can forget everything and run. Right? Fear. Forget everything and run. or you can face everything and rise. Face everything and rise. So it's your choice. You want to run, you're a runner, right? You're going to run away.
Yeah.
You're going to avoid dealing with it. You can. It's a choice. You know, there's no judgment, but there's a point that maybe you get tired of that. You want to try something different. And that's where we can, you know, it's not good or bad. It just is. When you're ready, let go of your fear of snake, of heights, of being alone, of feeling lost in the world, then there's always help here for you. There's always love here for you. Whenever you're ready, the teacher will appear.
Absolutely. Beautiful. That was a whole bunch of nuggets of gold. I love that. I hope you guys, and I'm over here, I'm always taking tons of notes. Hope you had your paper and pen because this was a very incredible, informative session. Thank you. Let's get right into your gift now. I'm excited about that.
My gift to you is my very own daily morning routine. So I'm an athlete, I'm a coach. So I'm into biohacking, you know, and I think your physical health, right, gives you power to overcome emotional and mindset things and move forward, right? So when you exercise, right, your body and you have good nutrition and you have the right hydration and you did your mindset meditation, mindfulness work. So I have an actual list, a checklist, right? For my morning routine. Instead of having a crazy to-do list, now I have my daily morning routine, which is a must. If I have to get up an hour or an hour and a half earlier, that is what keeps me sane, keeps me powerful, right? Allow me to receive the inspiration, the guidance that I need to know what I need to do next, right? To keep my energetic field, my vibrational field strong to attract that thing that I want instead of what I don't want, right? So this is a must. Then everything else, you know, falls into place. I have this checklist, it's free, it's on my website. We're gonna provide you a link, but it's basically on my website at Adelita Montero Live. Live, because I like to go live with you guys. I do lives on my Facebook page. You're welcome to find me on Facebook. All the links to my social media are on my website. I have YouTube, I have Instagram. If you're Instagram people, right? If you're like 30 and younger, your Instagram. If you're 30 and up, go to my Facebook or go to both.
Love it.
I have YouTube, I have everything. So I LinkedIn for your business people, right? I have it all. So yeah, find me on my website, adelitamonterolive.com, on my /contact. Go to my contact page, you fill out a form, and you receive this link to my personal morning routine, the Warrior Champion morning routine checklist.
Ooh, okay, so she is giving away her. This is free, you guys. I can't believe that she's talking. I'm like, I want this checklist, this to embody this warrior champion mindset that sets your day up for success, so you can conquer those fears and feel your best and attract your best. I mean, this is where it's at. So again, in that email, we're going to have a link so you can get right there to that checklist. But also, I heard that you're giving away another opportunity.
There's a gift within the gift, the gift that
Woo!
keeps on giving, right?
Yeah.
So when you go to my gifts, the one on the very end of the checklist, there's an opportunity, there's a link to my personal schedule, to my personal appointment system. So you go there and you can book an appointment with me. It's up to 30 minutes free consultation with me. So if you want to go over your personal situation, if you feel stuck, if you feel alone like I used to be, right? I want you to not feel that way. It's free. You have no excuse. Sometimes people are like, oh, but the money, you know, the money is a funny thing because sometimes we use that an excuse. It's an excuse from your ego, right? Because we can always find money for other things. If you get a ticket, you're gonna find the money. If you, right?
Yeah.
If you get sick, you're going to find the money. So what about you invest on yourself, right? And then everything else, the return on investment, it's tremendous, right? When you invest in yourself. And so I offer that from my heart to you. If you're ready and if you're serious, you need help, please don't feel like you're alone. Please reach out.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adelita, for your time, your powerful wisdom. I can feel your power just coming through this video, right? We're all fearless now. I'm loving this. And thank you. So thank you, Adelita. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And then thank you, viewer. I see you. I feel you there. Thank you for tuning in on this. And if you love this powerhouse, you're going to love the next vital ingredient with our next expert. And until then, keep smiling, and I'll see you soon.